Howdy, this is Mr. D with a short video on how to create newsletters using Google Docs. So as I've outlined here on the screen, there's just a couple of steps here that we're going to walk through one after the other. First, we're going to use Google Docs to create a template document that we can use to produce each issue of the newsletter. Second, we're going to save that template so we can find it again. Third, we're going to produce a single issue using that template. And then finally, I'm going to show you how to publish that issue online. So first things first, I'll show you that here in my Google Drive, I've got a folder called Newsletter, and inside I've got a couple of documents. This is an article. It's amazing. And this is the document we were just looking at, and this is an images folder that's got a couple of images. I'll show you I've got a placeholder image that looks like this that I'm going to use when I create the template. I've also got a fake logo and a couple of generic photos of students doing stuff in school. So the very first thing we need to do is create a new document. So I'll start new and create a new Google Doc. And this is going to be the beginning of our newsletter. And I'm just going to, make a newsletter. So the very first thing I want is right at the top, I want a picture. So I'm going to insert an image, and I'm going to put in from my Google Drive, from my newsletter folder, from the images folder, I'm going to put in the placeholder picture. And there it is, and it's huge, but that's okay, because I'm going to resize it. I'm just going to click the corner and drag, and that's going to be like a logo at the top of my screen. I'm going to leave it set to sit in line, which means I can control its placement like that, and that's going to be my logo at the top of my newsletter page. I'll click after it, drop down to the next line, and now I'm going to put in the text at the top of my newsletter. So I'm going to begin by creating a table. And you don't have to do this specifically. This is just, in my opinion, a nice way to get it done. I'm going to go 3 columns wide and 2 rows tall. And down here, I'm going to put, like volume 1, issue 1. And then over here, I'll put today's date. And I'm going to make that align to the right. And I'm going to select all that text and make it real small. And I'm going to take this top row and I'm going to merge the cells so that they're one wide cell, and I'm going to write the title of the awesome newsletter, whatever your newsletter title is. And I'm going to center that, and I'm going to make that nice and big. And I'll bold it. So there, beginning to look like a newsletter. Now I got these lines around my table. I want to get rid of those. So I'm just going to select all those cells. And I'm going to go to the table menu, table properties, and I'm going to turn my border to 0 points. So now there's no lines around it. So far, so good. So now I'm going to drop down to my next blank line down, and I'm going to make my text left aligned. And now I've got to put in an article. So luckily, if I go back to my folders here, I've got this amazing article here. I'm just going to open it up. This is submitted by somebody, and I'm going to just copy this. This is the amazing article. There's the author's name. There's the date that Clark wrote it, and there's a couple of paragraphs of the article text. And I'll just take that much for now, and I'm going to use my keyboard. I'm on a Mac, Command-C for copy. On a PC, it would be Control, and if you choose copy from the right-click menu, Google Docs shows you how to do that. Command-C for copy, Command-X for cut, Command-V for paste. So I'm going to copy the article text that someone gave me, and I'm going to go back into my document, and I'm going to paste it. So there's my article. And I'm going to format this however I want. Maybe I want the headlines of my article to be bigger. Maybe maybe even bigger than that. I don't know. Is that too big? No, I'll make it bold. I'm going to make this text smaller. And I want the article itself to be in columns. So I'm going to select the entire article. And here in Google Docs, select the article text. In Google Docs, I can go to Format, Columns, and I can choose 1 column, 2 columns, or 3. Or I can come down to More Options, and you'll see I have those same choices. So I'm going to make it 2 columns wide. I'm going to change the spacing between to just 1/4 of an inch. And I'm going to choose to put a line between the columns. No, I'm not. That's entirely up to you. You'll see why I don't want one in a minute. I'm going to apply, and there, it's already beginning to look like a newsletter. I've got a logo at the top. I've got the title of the newsletter. I've got this stuff. Maybe I want to insert a horizontal line. Whoop. Let me undo that. Maybe right here on this block, I'm going to insert a horizontal line. That's what I meant to do, so that now I've got a line between the header of the newsletter and the beginning of the article. And now that I've got my article text, it's looking pretty good. I need a picture, though. So I'm going to come right here to the beginning of my article, and I'm going to insert another image. And I'm just going to insert that placeholder again. And it drops it in, and it's a column wide, and I can leave it there if I want. Or if I click on it, you'll see I have these different choices for how the text should handle it. So I'm going to choose wrap text. Now, it's going to put an 1/8 of an inch margin around the picture on all 4 sides, and wherever I put it, the text is going to run around it. So I could choose to move it down to the middle of the paragraph. I could choose to have it span the columns. See, it's showing me that I've snapped it right to the center of the page. You can play with that. And that's my newsletter. Now, I could continue to add additional articles and to add additional images, but I think that this is enough to explain how you might create your newsletter template. So I'm going to go ahead and name this document Newsletter Template. So now I've got this. Now, what do we do with templates? So let me just double check. This is shared in my newsletter folder. That's good. What do we do with templates is if I go back to my Google Drive and I say I want to create a new document, that's how I create a new doc. But I have another option. I can head up here to my apps and I can choose to go to Docs directly. And that takes me to a different screen where I see some templates up here. Here's a newsletter template. Here's a resume template. These are all just examples. And if I go to the template gallery, you'll see that Google Docs gives me all these cool things. Here's some newsletters if you want to play with those. Here's some letter templates and resumes and other stuff, lesson plans and reports and all that. But I want, see, these are general templates. And these are the Mr. D templates, the ones just for my domain. And there are none here. I want to submit one. So I'll click Submit Template, and it says, which file do you want to use? And I'm going to select a document, and I'm going to look for Newsletter Template. There it is. That's the one I just created. I'm going to open it. I'm going to put it in the Brochures and Newsletters category and submit it. There it is. And there's my newsletter template waiting. And I'm going to close this window. The reason why that's important is because, let's go back here to my template and close it. Close my article, I don't need it anymore. We just created the template and we saved the template. Now it's time to produce an issue of our newsletter. So I'm going to go back to Google Drive and I'm going to go to Docs and I'm going to go to my template gallery, and here in Mr. D, now when I open this, it will create a copy of my template for me to edit without changing the original template. That way I can make this today's, I think today is December 19th. It might be the 20th, but whatever. I can make this today's newsletter. So here's my article, and I'll copy and paste in the newest article. I guess it is December 20th. And now, let me come up here, and I want to put in an image. So now that I've got this photo placeholder here, I can replace it. You see that button that appears in the toolbar when I choose the image? I'm going to replace the image with, from my drive, from my newsletter folder, images, I'm going to replace it with the school logo. And the school logo image just drops right in place of it. And if I need to adjust it, make it bigger or smaller, I can. And now I'm going to come down to this image, and I'm going to replace this image with an image I have here of children working in class. And it drops that image right inside. And you'll see that if I want to, I can add a border, a black border around that image. Now that I see what the image looks like, I can move it over a little bit if I want, or drop it down. I can play with the layout, and now my entire newsletter has been produced. Right? I've got a logo, I've got the issue number correct, the date correct, I copied and pasted in article text, I can put in more articles, etc., all the way down through the newsletter. That's how I've created this one issue. Now it's time to publish it. And I've got at least 2 options for how I want to distribute it. I don't want to send people a Google Doc because it's editable. Option 1, I can, from the File menu in Google Docs, download this newsletter as a PDF document. That'll create a PDF document of this newsletter, which I can then email to anyone who wants to receive my school newsletter, to parents, to students, etc. or I can publish it on the internet. I can do that from the file menu also. I can choose Publish to the Web. And what that does is it takes any document in Google Docs and makes its content visible to anyone by publishing it to the web. I can link to it or embed it. So I'm going to hit this Publish button. Are you sure you want to publish? Yes. And what will happen is, at this web address, the contents of this Google Doc become a web page that you can read but not edit. So I copied it, close this window, I don't need it anymore. And if I open a new tab and visit that web page, we're almost done. Because there's my newsletter. Now it doesn't look right because the content's spread really wide. And now it's always going to be the width of the web page, and that's not what I want. So this last part is complicated. Pay attention. Here is the address. It's docs.google.com/documents/ a bunch of other stuff, and it ends with PUB. What I need to do is change the very end of this address. So instead of PUB, the end of the address is /preview PLI equals 1. I don't know why, but that's what I have to change it to. And if I hit enter, now my web page is the size and width of a piece of paper, and it looks like a newsletter. If people read this, it'll look right. If they print it, it'll look right. That's what I want. So again, I'm going to go back to my Google Doc and go to the publish and grab, this is the original URL. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to show you that's what the web address looked like. And what you want to change it to at the very end is /preview PLI equals 1. That right there is the secret code. So if I copy this, copy, and replace PUB, only one slash, with that magic text, and then I copy that web address, open a new tab, and paste it in, there's my newsletter. I hope that helped.